So developing tonight, Senate Judiciary Committee Chairman Chuck Grassley is submitting a second referral now to DOJ and FBI, asking them to investigate attorney Michael Avenatti and his client Julie Swetnick for making false claims against Justice Brett Kavanaugh. Grassley writing this: when a well-meaning citizen comes forward with information relevant to the committee's work, I take it seriously. It takes courage to come forward. But in the heat of partisan moments, some do try to unknowingly mislead the committee. It stifles our ability to work on legitimate lines of inquiry. It also wastes time and resources for destructive reasons. Here now, Lisa Boothe and Leslie Marshall, progressive radio talk show hosts, both are Fox News contributors. Good to have both of you with us. Thank you so much. Good to see you both. So as you might imagine, Michael Avenatti did not just go, oh, okay, that's good. We'll submit that information. Here's what he said. Watch this.
We welcome the investigation requested by Senator Grassley, who obviously has no idea what he's just done. What he has effectively done is he has now opened up a Pandora's box, and my client and I are very much looking forward to a full and complete investigation.
So he tweeted something about it being Christmas, Leslie, like he thinks this is a great thing for him and his client. What do you think?
Well, I don't think it's a good thing for him and his client, quite frankly, but I also don't think it's a good thing for the American people. When you look just in this 24-hour news cycle, what we're dealing with, I mean, pipe bombs and, we've just gotten out of an arms treaty. And this is, I don't feel, left or right, the people that voted for these congressional members to do for us and to use the money and the time. The other thing is I think it's going to be difficult to prove, because if in fact, hypothetically, he said to her as a client, look, I want you to polish this up a little, say this, do that. It's not going to be in writing. She's not going to say he did that. And it is possible that she came to him and said, listen, this is what happened to me. He took her as a client and I got him. And then, he's stuck in a sense. I mean, he takes her word for it, and that's his position as an attorney to represent her.
I hear what you're saying. I wonder, Lisa, when you look at this, whether or not Chairman Grassley is anticipating a perhaps, change in Congress, that maybe Democrats are in charge in the House, that you get a lot of new investigations going, and perhaps he wants to kind of open this line of investigation. And it is a serious thing to take the Senate's time with someone who you feel is telling different stories about what happened. This is Julie Swetnick that we're referring to, not right. Dr. Ford.
Well, and I think Avenatti might have a little bit of a legal issue, considering the fact that we have a second individual who Julie Swetnick named that says that Avenatti basically twisted her words. So potentially that opens up a legal avenue against him where he could be potentially vulnerable with this criminal referral. But I would also say that I think every American doesn't want to have that sort of process happen again, where you basically have one party weaponize these baseless allegations at the 11th hour to try to railroad a Supreme Court nomination. What happened was a circus, even during the confirmation hearings, where Democrats repeatedly interrupted the process, interrupted the line of questioning, interrupted the hearing. So I don't think any American wants to see that happen. So I think what Chuck Grassley wants to do is to ensure that that process doesn't happen again. And we already had, there was a guy who completely made up a story about something that happened in Rhode Island on a boat, then recanted on Twitter. So you also want to make sure that we aren't having people that are just throwing out baseless and false allegations.
It was such a crazy moment. I mean, we've experienced a lot of crazy moments, but you look back at that and all the stuff that was coming out. And Leslie, there's also a suggestion that NBC didn't do its due diligence because this other woman who was supposed to back up Julie Swetnick's story also had, went back and forth with the producers at NBC and, saying, yes, this is what happened. No, I never saw him do anything like that, actually. And then the affidavit comes out after the back and forth. So it raises questions about whether or not they shouldn't have disclosed that this other backup witness for Swetnick was also falling apart.
I think NBC certainly should have disclosed it. I think that they have a responsibility, not just as a journalist, as an integrity there. I think there's a moral responsibility. When you talk about the Senate, it is tantamount to perjury. I mean, this you could serve jail time. Nobody's going to serve jail time. So what do we get out of this at the end of the day? Let me tell you, here are two problems. One, that other woman that we're talking about, she signed an affidavit. Believe she said that she skimmed over. You can't skim over a legal affidavit that you're presenting to the Senate and sign it. So she could be, this could hurt her in the long run if we continue down this road. And then wait. And then further to that, if if we are looking at opening investigations and we are looking at who was telling the truth or who was lying, and we get into text messages and every T crossed and every I dotted, it's going to come up again that Judge Kavanaugh had some things that were questionable with regard to a timeline as to Ms. Ramirez's accusation and also the amount that he drank.
But what is
in
important here is I think the NBC issue is in that, because you also have Jane Meyer, who is part of the New York, who ran the story about Deborah Ramirez that not a single person could corroborate, who said that her and Ronan Farrow did it because they wanted to establish a pattern of behavior, which is important in the Me Too movement.
You know what, the bottom line is that these things are important. These accusations are incredibly serious, and you do want to push back on this in journalism and in the Senate. Make sure that there's a message sent. Do not come forward unless you have all of your T's crossed and your I's dotted in these situations. Thanks, ladies. Avenatti might be sticking around. Might be running for president. So that's going to be a story that keeps on giving.
I hope he is.